Next up on our customer journey digital touchpoint checklist is our creative checklist. So, this is the creative that we're using in our ads, specifically in order to drive traffic or things that we're showing people on our website and other places that are invoking a response from people that make it very clear. Um, it's listed here. Your click-through rate is lower than expected relating to ads. Please check your creative. Is it eye-catching and has a clear goal? The majority of the ads that I see are just not good. And I hate to say it, and I don't want to pick on anyone individually, but for the majority of ads that I see that are on Facebook or anywhere else, they just don't have anything. Um, and they are violating some of the kind of the easiest rules of how to create an ad and how to get results. Um, on average, a lot of our ads that we run get 2-3% click-through rate, up as high as like 9%, depending on like what kind of ad it was, and who we were running it to and how we were running it. And all these things play a role in how we approach creative. And we talked about it a lot in the last lesson about audience, about really diving in and figuring out who our audience is, backing that up with data, and understanding how we want to talk to that audience that we know is going to be a good fit for our products by leveraging data. So here we go into our creative checklist. The creative must stand out in the feed. I'm going to give you guys a secret. If you go to your Facebook feed right now and you take screenshots of the first 30 ads that you see and then you put them in a folder as thumbnails and you look at the images, you're going to notice that maybe one or two stand out. There's a reason for this. People have a tendency of making ads that look pretty and are on brand, but do not stand out in a feed. There's also a reason why, if you look at Nike's ads, it's always a white background with a shoe for the most part, for most of the stuff that they end up running for product ads and stuff like that. They get away with it because everyone knows who Nike is, everyone knows who the Swish is, it's international. But you, as a brand that's just starting out, if your product is not featured right away, good luck. That's all I got to say about that. So, must stand out in the feed. The creative must connect with the audience. The copy must be relevant to the audience. The creative must focus on one key benefit. The creative should relate to one activity. The creative should use images instead of words when possible or in combination. The creative should have a clear incentive/CTA. We're going to tackle these one at a time, but I'm going to preface this with giving you a picture of kind of the ads that we run for our underwear company and show you how just clear they are. They look like memes. They're nothing special. They're done in Canva. They take us 10 minutes to make per, and this is the entirety of the ad. So when we create these ads, our goal is for them to stand out in the feed, have one message behind it, have an offer clearly listed, and show the product. That's it. And if you look at our entire ad library, it follows the same format. We've been following the same format for about 2.5 years now. And this brand is a brand that's grown from 10,000 a year to over 2 million a year. And we've done it with less than 60 pieces of ad creative. So every agency, even if you're an agency reading this, it's not about the quantity of your ads or the testing. It's about understanding what grabs attention, makes it clear what the product is, and then gets people from point A to point B. So let's get into my creative questions and my checklist in order to create ads cheaply, affordably, and make sure that it's driving traffic from point A to point B, at which point we can start identifying other gaps in the customer journey as we go through more of this checklist. So on to the questions. Does my creative stand out in the feed? Told you how to do this. I just gave you some examples of some bright backgrounds in there. Is the background bright and colorful? Yes or no? It's really, there's nothing in between here. If it's a lifestyle shot or something like that, they work well on websites. They do not work as well on ads. Exception to the rule, but I usually go for something bright and colorful because remember, if you're on a social network like Facebook, everyone's posting lifestyle shots, them drinking with their friends, hanging out, going to events, etc. Lifestyle shots do not stand out. Is the still image compelling enough for someone to stop? Does it cause them to say why or how? That's really what you're trying to do with an ad. Do they say why or do they say how? And that's usually around whatever slogan they're doing. A lot of ads do not do text over the top of them. You should. People don't really read the copy on ads. Some people have done long form on the copy on ads. No one really cares. People read the comments though, so understand that what you want wants to make people say why or how and get some sort of snarky troll response on it because those are always fun. It breeds engagement. It means people actually care about your ad, and your ad is meant to inspire. A great ad is one that consistently makes people question things. Another thing about this is comedy really, really works in this. People are on social networks to be entertained. Your ad should understand that people are looking for some degree of entertainment around what you're presenting. It needs to fit into the reason that they're there. A really great ad not only causes you to laugh or makes you chuckle or is entertaining, but it also like finds itself on your memory. Um, is the still image compelling enough for someone to stop? Is there something about the ad that causes someone to stop? Is it clear to see what the product is, and will someone stop? Is the product moving to attract the eye? Uh, some people love static ads. I do not like static ads. I like some degree of movement, even if it's subtle movement, because subtle movement attracts the eye and causes me to focus on different things. There are some situations where a static ad will do okay, but more or less, if it's a static ad, it better be funny as all hell and get me to actually stop and read it and figure out what's up. People on Reddit have probably the toughest time because Reddit is super, super hostile towards ads. So a lot of people go for a meme format that tends to work okay. Sometimes people get a chuckle, but it gets like the point across. Um, People have been saying also that like UGC really works and things that don't look like ads really works. I don't do UGC. I don't like UGC. I think UGC can work for a certain audience. I don't think it works for all sorts of audiences. It depends very much on what your product is, and how it's kind of used. Real UGC is an organic discovery of a product. It is not precipitated by someone hawking a product, if that makes sense. And in the past, we've worked with all sorts of different influencers. So this isn't me just saying this. Like we've worked with Hollywood A-listers all the way down to people that do tech review shows. Like we've worked with everyone across the board, Academy Award winners all the way down. So when it comes to UGC and influencer stuff and things like that, I'm very much that the product needs to speak for itself, and that sometimes you can get a bump, but more often than not, it's how people use the product that matters, not who's promoting the product. And if you focus on the use case of the product, you'll go a lot farther than anything else. Does the creative show the product from the start? Is there a lag time before you see a product? Is the product clearly identifiable in the thumbnail? Was working with a client, and their overall sales were tanking pretty massively. And then I looked at their ads, which I wasn't hired to fix, and they didn't show the product for 5 and 7 seconds in some of their ads. We have the attention spans of a goldfish these days. Actually, less now with so much social media. So, when you're running an ad, you need to make sure that the product is featured immediately. And I do really mean immediately. There should be no hesitation of knowing, you should know exactly what the product is. You should also notice that there's a tendency of people in ad agencies that push this, where the oh, actually, I'll get to this on does the creative connect with an audience. That's probably a better place for it. Lag time before seeing a product, make sure there isn't one clearly identified on the thumbnail. Make sure you can recognize what the product is. That means high contrast. Make sure that you can see what the product is. I was looking at ads yesterday for the underwear brand, and some of the ads, there wasn't high enough contrast, or the background had too much detail, so it was pulling your focus away from the actual product. Not good. Focus needs to be on the product at all possible times so that you know where your focal point is relevant to the product, not relevant to something else that's going on. Words over copy, make them funny, make them memorable, make you chuckle. Just figure it out. If you're just listing features and benefits and you're not adding humor to that, I don't know what you're doing this day and age for modern things. Told people a million times, there's a bunch of writers now currently on strike when this is being recorded in LA. But there's a bunch of comedy writers that are out there that are just trying to like cut their chops. They could do a lot of really great ads for, some brands. Like I think they would be able to absolutely crush it for some brands within some parameters. And I think more brands should be flexible with where they're at as a brand to not care about brand guidelines. And I will continue to like knock this kind of point home. You're not Nike. You're not McDonald's. You haven't been around for, you know, since the 70s. You haven't been around for 50 years. Like, if you haven't been around for a long period of time, there are no rules. You should be looking to try as many different copy angles as possible to as many different audiences as possible in order to figure out who you resonate with the most. Back that up with data and then write for that audience. Know that that is your audience and lean in hard. And then over time, your brand will evolve. It will get more polished. It will become more corporate, etc, because that's just what happens over time. Like that's just the way that it works. So understand that this is a journey to get your brand there, but it doesn't have to be there right away. Your brand does not matter in the beginning, and there's too much focus on brand. I think today, and specifically in ecom and D2C, there's so much focus on brand and marketing and everything else. And you look at Allbirds and Casper and everyone else, their market penetration of people that know about them is less than 20%, and they're running in the negative, and their stock has plummeted 85%. Brand doesn't matter. I'm going to keep saying it. Brand does not matter. Have an idea of who you want to be as a brand is affected directly by the customers that purchase your goods. And until you have millions of people that purchase your goods and you can figure out what makes them your brand, it's not worth it. Uh, does the creative connect with an audience? Is the visual use compelling to the audience? Is the visual clear? Yet, looks like I let something out. Clear, uh, yet uh, I don't want to use the word compelling. Is visual use compelling to the audience? Is it clear what the product is, yet enticing? And demands more attention. Sometimes it's clear what the product does, but there's nothing more than that. This is it. This is the best. This is why. Um, you need to focus on one element as to why someone should take the next step. And we'll look at this ad library. So we have comfort, comfort, comfort. We got going commando, and then we have different messaging that we have. So this messaging is like naked, but without the ticket. This messaging is when you find the one. This messaging is you need more room. So it's focusing on different elements of the product, but the messaging is all the same. It's about comfort, comfort, comfort. Um, and this one's funny. Go from hi grandpa to hello daddy, right? Like we use a lot of the same things that make you say why, how, and move it in that general direction. Um, in terms of connecting with your audience, though, you want to find a way that kind of inspires them to take the next step. Um, and a lot of ads that I see don't inspire me to take a next step. It's just this is super cool. This is super cool. This is super cool. If everyone's saying this is super cool, it's no longer super cool. Sometimes it's not about being super cool, and instead it's about finding something to connect with people on a higher level, focusing on something very specific within a product. Um, is the copy related to the audience? Is the copy related to the audience calls out a specific subset of the audience? Is the copy humorous? Is related to the audience? You see the theme that we're building on here. Copy should be over the image. If you're We went from Facebook to Instagram, know where your audience is, know what they're reading, know what they pay attention to. They're only looking at the images. It's the way we go. TikTok's now short form video. Everything is moving towards visuals first. So your copy should overlay your main message over that image rather than in the copy itself. In fact, we ran ads where we replaced the copy on an ad with insert copy, witty copy here, and they still got like a 2% click through rate, which told us straight up that it was the the image and the words on the image that were driving the click, not the actual copy that was driving that click. So pay attention to these things, figure out what a good fit is for this, and design them that specific way. Um, but humor matters. hiring a bunch of writers in LA, like I said, in order to write some of your ads for you, not a bad idea. Getting people to pitch stuff and crowdsource your advertising was another pretty good idea. So there's a lot of easy options around some of that stuff. I'm surprised that a brand hasn't run an offer like that where they let the audience create the ad and then they cut them in on some of the profits from that specific ad. I know attribution is sometimes hard, but it'd be interesting to do. Uh, does the creative focus on one key benefit? Is there a strong text overlay that connects with the audience? Does the text make someone think differently about existing behavior? Super important here. I've looked at a ton of ads and they all tend to focus on multiple benefits. Multiple benefits equals I don't know what's working. This is confusion. Sometimes people are calling these hooks and they're going through the hooks. Have you ever found yourself needing a place to sit on the beach and you didn't bring a chair? Whatever it is, right? Like, uh, there's a problem. There's always a problem and a pain point, and they're trying to solve for that pain point, or they're talking about agitation and then solution, and then, oh, have you ever locked yourself out of your car? Maybe you needed a Slim Jim to get back into your car, right? Like there's always something. People associate people purchasing products because there's a pain point without accepting the fact that maybe there isn't a pain point and maybe there's just a curiosity element of something. A lot of the times it's a curiosity element that actually leads to a purchase instead of an actual pain point. And this is tough for a lot of people to understand. Um, I don't have a pain point in that I'm wearing a pair of sweatpants right now beneath this video and they're comfy and they're soft and they're pilling like a mother, but they work and they're functional. I also have $110 sweatpants sitting in that other room that I'm not wearing right now. That didn't really solve a pain point other than I wanted a nicer pair of sweatpants. That's it. There was no pain point in there. These work and function exactly how I want sweatpants to work. Those work and function differently, but there's no pain point that you're you're solving for me. A lot of products, it was a genuine curiosity and wanting to get something that was a little bit more higher quality that wasn't going to pill that I could wear in different situations. So that wasn't a pain point necessarily. It was more of a curiosity of building on something, which had me, a near 40-year-old guy, saying, you know what? I like sweatpants. I like wearing sweatpants. I should get a nice pair of sweatpants so I can wear it other places. That's more of a curiosity thing than it is the same. Similar to the underwear company that I've been showing you, I was a customer. I got a pair, loved a pair, replaced all my underwear with them, and life forever changed and spent over $350 on underwear because I was like, you know what? I'm old enough. I spent enough time in underwear. I'm going to go buy some nice stuff that I actually enjoy, right? Like, there's not always going to be that bit. So, the key benefits that we're looking for relate to things that would cause someone to change in behavior or think differently about an existing behavior. It shouldn't always be a pain point. We don't have to solve for pain points. We should be solving for aspirational needs instead. Want, need, desire, like we mentioned earlier. Like, I'd be better off solving for an aspirational need or calling into question my thought process on something that I've been doing consistently rather than trying to solve for a pain point. And I know people are like painkiller vitamin and they like to go back and forth. I spend more money on vitamins than I do painkillers. And I spend more money on wanting to make myself a better person and feel like a better person than I do on things that are wrong. When I need a painkiller, I go for a need. I go for the cheapest alternative in order to solve that need. When I can go for a vitamin, I'm looking for a want, something that's going to be good for me. I'm going to do research into figuring out what's going to be the best for me. It's completely different as a buying cycle, and your want people are going to be higher lifetime value customers than your need people because your need people are going to be one and done, and yet 80% of people are one and done. And we talk about this in ecom and we keep looking at marketing like this. Why do we keep doing this? Because all the advice that we've been following up to this point does not make any sense. So strong text overlay connects with the audience. Make sure it's something that's making them think differently about a product that they currently have in a way that inspires them to move that from being a need product into a want product. You're going to find more success doing that. Does creative relate to one activity? Is there a strong but narrow focus on one key activity the product is perfect for? Is this activity clear to the target audience? We ran this actually for a while and we fell off doing it, but it worked really, really well when we did it, when Facebook was better about interests, where we would run ads specifically around activities like hiking and things like that. And they really outperformed everything else. We still do technically have interest-based targeting. I know people are going to be like, why? But it still works. It actually is more effective than some of our other broad general targeting. When you're doing broad for Facebook, you really need a massive budget so they can get in front of enough people and then refine their algorithm, which is really hard for a lot of small brands getting going. Small brands are almost better off focusing their copy and creative on specific audiences that they know have overlap. I've run ads to specific niches with signups and stuff like that, and have been able to acquire emails with data related to them for around 20 to 30 cents per, um, and an 80% sign up rate. So there does exist patterns for doing this really creatively and smart, leveraging interests. And I don't care. I'll fight with everyone that says go broad all the time because that's what Facebook's telling you to do. You can, if you have a lot of money to spend, it'll work out better in the long run. But if you don't have a lot of money to spend and you're creative and your copy is specifically focused on a group of people, go narrow. You'll get a higher opt-in rate and your quality of traffic will be better. And we've have the data to kind of like back that up and show what that looks like. Um, so when you're getting going, you want to pick a couple activities and then you want to figure out where you're gonna fall and where you're gonna sit into that and then lead in hard with the copy that relates to that. Sometimes it can be an inside joke, sometimes it can be an acronym or whatever, but be careful about going too narrow or too broad on that. You got to kind of Goldilocks it, find like the perfect fit and the perfect comfort level for what you're doing. Yeah. Does the creative is the activity clear to the target audience? If you're suggesting that you use something for something, does everyone know what it is, or does your target audience understand the references within it? It's kind of what I was getting at. Like, figure out who you're talking to and hit them right with that. Um, you get all kooky and go shred the gnar, and people are gonna know that's relating to skiing or snowboarding, right? Like, or powder day. Like, people are gonna know what that relates to. So figure out terminology within your network in order to understand how to position the copy and the content around that so that you can attract the right audience that you know is going to be a good thing. But back that audience up, understand their activities via, data collection, stuff like that for specific brands that sell in different areas. I mean, camping and hiking are usually two big proponents for everyday wear. It's if someone is saying camping and hiking and all your pictures and creative are urban and it's not a good fit for the brand. If conversely, if everyone says they want everyday wear and you built something and everyone's pictured on a trail going for a hike, probably not a good fit for you either, right? Like there's a mismatch between the creative and the audience that they're going after. Does the creative use images to represent words? Are images, icons universally recognizable? Is there only one image icon shown at a time? Huge trend that I have seen in ads. I've seen some ads and they've been still shots and they've got so much text on them that I don't know what to focus on, or they're using icons that I have no idea what they mean. An icon only means something if it's universal. Think road signs or stuff commonly used in UX UI in order to show something. If it's not something that's easily recognizable, show it to your parents or whatever. See if they understand what it means. If they don't, then it's not a good thing to do. Don't worry about that. The other thing is one message per page. Like this is huge. There's so many times that people will have like a split shot and it'll have six different features and it'll go bing, 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 bing. It's too much. We're just not into it. Like one feature per video is all you really need in order to like, product, feature shot up close, show it off, explain what it is in some bold text, learn more grab your first pair for, whatever it is, like build in the offer into that feature. If you've got like a golf jogger and it's got a zippered bottoms, like experience zipper bottoms on your next golf jogger. Show up close to the zipper and then grab your first pair for, whatever, like off, right? Like that's the messaging that we're looking for and kind of the sequencing that we're looking for in this. It works pretty much every time because people are interested in that new differentiated feature. They'll go check out more. They'll understand that there's an offer attached to it so that they should actually take action on it, blah, 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 blah. Which brings us to the next one. Does the creative have a clear incentive slash CTA? Is there an enhanced offer that provides a reason to click through? Is a CTA an invitation to take the next step? Okay. So there's two prongs on this one that I want to talk about. And one is most e-commerce sites have sales all the time, or on holidays, or on whatever, right? Like there's just a constant cycle of emails that I get into my inbox that are sale offer, sale offer, sale offer, sale offer. And every company does it. It's 30% off, 40% off, 50% off. It doesn't matter. There's just always a sale. And they usually do it when they're running into slow periods in their business or something like that, right? So once you get past the point that everyone's going to have a sale offer, as a company, when you realize that you have a sale offer, you should be building offers around that also for your intro offers and everything else that you're driving paid traffic from. You would be silly not to do this. Your goal as a company is to get product in hand. If you're paying for traffic to come in, your goal should be two-pronged. It should get someone to sign up so that you get an email in exchange for data for an offer, and that offer should be a sale that's greater than your bundle offers that exist on your website, yet less than your largest sale offers, so that you're promoting someone to take advantage of a deal to purchase a single unit of your product in order to get product in hands. Um, Similarly, in other courses, I've covered that with pop up specifically, and we'll get to a little bit of those a little bit later in this course, but like we're tracking subscription to conversion, right? We're not tracking who signs up, but we're also tracking the data that we collect from people because we want to learn from people that show high intent of signing up for an offer. If I am signing up on a website for a discount, I am more willing to provide information relevant to my customer experience that can be then used across our ads, landing pages, etc., creative offers, and everything else. So when we're going through this, have a CTA that drives someone to the next step, that gives them the offer to opt in on, that allows us to trade and exchange value for that offer, and also gives us the highest possible chance of multiple touch points within that first week of signing up in order to get them to convert. Statistically speaking, it's a lot quicker than most people think. So time to purchase, 75% of all purchases happen in 2.4 days, 50% happen in 17 minutes. So turns out when you start looking at these numbers, you start realizing that there's on these journeys, it's a lot different from like in terms of speed and making stuff happen. It's pretty quick. So we need to have a good solid CTA that brings someone through that's able to collect that data and make that happen, do that exchange of value, and get product in the hands so that they can experience that product and decide what they want to do, whether they're buying again, when they're going to buy again, etc. The other part about that is we're also tracking time between first and second purchase, and you can see that 75% of people are purchasing in the first 50 days, with 50% purchasing in 22 days. As a direct result of that, your need to get product in hands is actually really, really good. The quicker you can do it, the better off it is post that intent. So from ad, we're going to cover landing pages soon, and everything else. We have to make sure that there's an offer that's incentivized for just that source of traffic that allows them to remove the friction to get product in hand and experience your brand firsthand. Lastly, does the creative speak to the main buyer personas? Is there messaging for people that haven't purchased a similar product? Is there messaging for people that currently own a similar product? Is there messaging for people that are currently looking for a similar product? This is very important. And it's something that came to me when I was working with a couple of agencies not too long ago, where they were giving me a bunch of content, but the content didn't clearly show what the product was and it didn't talk to any of these personas. When you're building ads, you need to have creative that speaks to one of these three personas. People that haven't purchased a similar product before, so they're just diving in. Good example of this came up in a conversation earlier today about plunge pools. If you've never purchased a plunge pool, You do some research, it's usually like an ice bath, or there's like a box connected to it that keeps the water really cool for recovery for athletes and stuff like that, or people that train. I've never purchased a plunge pool. Okay, what are my reasonings for purchasing a plunge pool? Why, how is it affordable for me to do this? Like, how do I make this work for me? Is there messaging for people that currently own a similar product? Why would I exchange what I currently have? What are the deficiencies? Is there a new technological advancement? Is there something that changed? Is there something that's different? Is there a meaningful reason that I should try a different brand because of some degree of an upgrade or comfort or anything else attached to it? Make it pretty clear and obvious what that is, and then lead in via that. For instance, examples. We ask people for the underwear company, have they tried micromodal before? And a lot of them are saying no, right? 65% of people say they haven't tried micromodal before. Okay, cool. We know that if two-thirds of people haven't tried this before, that we should probably list a couple of reasons as to why they should try it before. Um, is there messaging for people that currently own a similar product? Not all micromodal is the same. We use top tier hand-picked micromodal manufactured at only 10 factories in the entire world in order to bring you the highest quality material. That needs to be somewhere in there. We need to justify the difference of how that compares. Is there messaging for people that are currently looking for a similar product? 100%. Like, how do we help people make a decision? If someone's looking at your product and it's a commoditized good, which most things are a commoditized good at this point, we need to differentiate how ours is different. And usually it's not a matter of feature benefits. Usually it's a matter of warranties, guarantees, and it's a matter of full product explanations. The longer the product page and the bigger the explanations, which we'll get to, excuse me, later in this, the better off you're going to be about being able to convince someone that you're legit and that you're capable of bringing that experience that they're looking for within that product experience. What I mean by that is the more detailed and more time you spend on the descriptions and the photos and the explanations and the fitting and everything else, the more confident and trustworthy you are for me to make a purchase. That takes us to the end of this lesson. Hope it was useful for you to go through some of the creative checklists and questions, and we'll be on to the next.